You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
We're back. Thanks for staying with us. Joining us now is Robin Wicks Robinson. You met Chad Hoxton in the first segment. Robin will be facing off with Chad for this new district court judge seat that will serve New Hanover and Pender counties. Robin, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Don. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
All right, so, well, first of all, you're also an attorney.
Yes, I am. For 24 years, I've been in practice here in Wilmington.
What kind of law?
Well, the latter half of that long career, I have done mostly family law. I'm a board-certified specialist in family law. Earlier in my career, I did a lot more criminal work, and over all of my career, I've done a good bit of civil litigation as well. I'm also a certified mediator and an arbitrator for the district court civil cases.
Why'd you decide to run?
Well, for me, Don, it's really about a public service calling, which is really a natural extension of the commitment to public service that I've demonstrated throughout my life, both in my legal profession as well as in the community, school, church, community boards, and so forth. And so I'd like to share, over my long career, I've developed a lot of knowledge and skills and experience, and I hope wisdom. And so it's really truly a calling at mid-career to share that information and experience in a broader arena within the judicial system where I hope I can make a broader impact.
What is the salary for a district court judge?
I'm not sure precisely. I believe it's around $106,000 or something in that ballpark.
And this is a brand new seat. We covered this in the last segment with your opponent.
It's a newly created seat in honor of the population growth in our judicial
because
district.
of the volume of cases,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
New Hanover and Pender, yes.
So let me get your take on some of the questions I asked your opponent in the last segment. This is a nonpartisan race, which means there's no party signification on the ballot.
Correct.
How important do you think party affiliations are for a race like this?
I think for our district court races, the party affiliation is really irrelevant.
Because your opponent said that that's one of the biggest questions people ask all the time, so it doesn't seem irrelevant to the people that were he's seeing.
Yeah, I think that while people do ask about it, and by the way, on my website, robinrobinsonforjudge.com, there's a blog on my website that's entitled Justice Knows No R Nor D. And for further amplification of my answer, I would cite that to people to read more about my thoughts about it. But basically, the district court is sort of the people's court. Over 90% of all the case filings come through district court. We deal with the criminal, misdemeanor, and traffic court. We deal with some civil cases, and as I mentioned, I've been an arbitrator for those cases for about 17 years. But probably the most important thing and where the most discretion lies in the district court is in the family and juvenile setting, and that's where I'm a specialist in those areas. And that's really my passion, and I think where I can serve.
But it does seem to boil down to a Democrat and a Republican running.
Well, and so party affiliation, we are not allowed to espouse, we do not and are not in fact allowed to espouse any particular political party's principles or platforms. Our only constituency should be to the law and not to a particular political party or platform.
But you can say what party you're affiliated with, right?
Sure. And even though it's a nonpartisan race, it's still a political race in the sense that we are made to run just as other people seeking legislative or executive offices are made to go through that political process that it takes, because North Carolina is one of only, I think, about 15 states that actually has elected seats for judgeship. So we are made to run.
The others are appointed?
Yes, by blue ribbon commissions, right. But we are made to run, so it's political in the sense that we do have to run for office, but it's nonpartisan in the sense that we are justice is blind. We are not beholden to a particular political party's stance on legislative or executive type issues. We do not make the law in district court, and I would not be a judicial activist trying to make law from the district court bench. I would be really very conservative and exercise judicial restraint in that area, which is the proper role of a district court judge. We are to know the law. We are to listen to the facts of a particular case and apply the law to those facts and make a wise ruling about the particular case as it's brought before us.
Do you think there is a difference in the way a Democrat might rule from the bench and conduct a courtroom relative to a Republican?
No, I really don't think so. I think that when one is looking for qualifications for the district court judgeship, one must really look at the background, the professional knowledge and experience of the person seeking the judicial office, and consider their educational background, their professional background, whether they have been involved in the community, which sort of informs our decision making. My life experience as a wife and mother and very active community, church, and school volunteer, I think will give me perspective to inform my decision making. But my background as a lawyer and the different areas of law, the breadth of experience I have in all of the matters which come before district court, and the depth of experience I have in family law will give me a lot of wisdom, especially in the area of helping families in crisis and conflict.
Your opponent was mentioning how the district court judge races don't create the excitement or seem to generate the interest that
Right.
some of the other political races do. How important is fundraising?
Well, fundraising is what I call the lower road of politics required to achieve the higher calling of judgeship. As I mentioned before, we are made to run for office just as other
Would you prefer to would you prefer to have been an appointed in a state that appoints?
It sort of depends on what one means by appointment. I will share with you that I have received a lot of support from our district bar. The lawyers of New Hanover and Pender have actually...
When you say a lot of support, you mean money?
Not necessarily, no. What I mean is in earlier situations where we've had vacancies on the district court bench, I have been bar nominated by my peers. That's a short list of 3 people to have appointments. The procedure when there's a vacancy on the bench, Don, is to have a governor appointment to fill the term of that person who left the bench. And so I have been nominated by my colleagues in the district bar to fill vacancies, but not actually appointed. So I made that list of 3, but not the list of 1. So in some ways, and when this new seat came along, it's an open seat. It's not based on appointment. It's based on taking it to the people.
Experience shows that Democrat governors never appoint Republicans to the seat. So
Correct.
there is
no, what I was going to
means
say,
test for how political these things are.
That's not as it should be, but that is how it is. And so what I was going to say is in agreement with you that the appointed process, if one is talking about receiving an appointment to fill a vacancy, is ultimately more political than simply running for office. And that's why when this new seat came along, although I was pleased to have been nominated for appointment previously, the new seat came along and gave me the opportunity to simply run for it and let the people of our district make that decision.
So you don't, fundraising is not, it's not a comfortable...
No, it's not comfortable. I love meeting and greeting people. I've just enjoyed that part of the campaign so much over these past few months, to be uplifted by old friends and to meet a whole bunch of new friends and hopefully share with them the importance of our race and what we do and what my particular qualifications are.
How much money have you raised?
But the actual fundraising and tooting my own horn and asking for money is very, very awkward indeed.
How much money have you raised?
We're about to do a new report that's due to the State Board of Elections in a couple of weeks, so I don't know a precise number, but if I had to estimate, I would say approximately $60,000, and that's probably from an array of over 300 different people.
Most political observers agree that this will be a tough year for Democrats, and some incumbents for both parties.
Right.
You're an unlisted Democrat.
I'm running in a nonpartisan race.
Right.
That's true.
For a brand new seat, so there is no incumbent.
I'm not running against an incumbent.
Right.
That's right.
So how does today's political environment impact you, or does it?
Well, I hope that the electorate will be informed to discern the particular qualifications of the candidate. Since we are running in a nonpartisan race, we're down ballot toward the very end of the ballot. One does not vote by party for judge, one votes by the person. And I have personally always been sort of a nonpartisan sort of person, always voting by the person and the particular skills and qualifications of the candidate for the office.
But you're a registered Democrat.
I happen to be registered that way, that's correct. And it's not about a party issue, though. When it comes to the district court race, we're not running on the platform of either party. And one must look at the particular qualifications of the office.
Yeah, and if you vote a straight party ticket, you won't vote for district court.
That's correct.
It won't register.
Yeah, part of our voter education is to ensure that people know to go all the way to the nonpartisan section of the ballot and vote by the person.
How damaging do you think the recent charges of corruption against the SBI and the State Crime Lab have been to the public confidence in our own judicial system being fair and impartial?
Well, I think the particular problem about the SBI should not necessarily reflect upon the judiciary itself, but
But
the
it
legal
does.
process.
The
And
people,
sure,
people view it as part of the system.
Right.
And do you
absolutely.
think it's damaged public confidence?
I think that there certainly is a mark on the public confidence. When you hear about convictions that are being overturned because of some corruption within the judicial system and in the process, I would like to say I am a past member of the State Bar Ethics Committee, past president of our district bar, served on the Professionalism Committee, am currently on the North Carolina Family Law Council for the Bar Association. So I believe very strongly in helping to ensure the public's confidence in our judicial system. But I agree certainly that the SBI problems have caused some suspicion with regard to fair proceedings within our, particularly as it relates to criminal court proceedings.
How surprised were you at those revelations?
Well, I would like to say I'm very surprised. Maybe not as surprised as one should have been. I know that throughout our history, we've had times when there have been procedures that have not been fair to the accused in a criminal setting. Obviously, in the civil court and in the family and juvenile court, where I specialize, we're not really looking at those sorts of issues of crime lab problems, but certainly in the criminal justice system, those can be very difficult issues.
We're almost out of time.
Yeah.
Briefly, what do you think is the most important qualification for being a district court judge?
I think that the breadth of experience and all the matters which come before district court are very important. I think experience and wisdom, particularly in the family law and juvenile law area, which is where I think the judge can have the most discretion and impact on helping families in crisis and conflict and making referrals in that system. So experience and wisdom and a certain temperament, sensitivity, and a background, a breadth of experience both in my profession and as well as my involvement in many areas of the community make me a good candidate for this job. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin, for
My
joining
pleasure.
us.
Yeah.
Stay tuned as we continue with our hour-long special series of Byline Election 2010. The candidates for the New Hanover County 18th District State House seat, Democrat Susie Hamilton and Republican Beth Dawson, will face off. Stay with us.
Very good. Thank you, sir.